Alright, what's up everyone? So if you've been around the block in terms of indie fighting games, you'll definitely heard this little flash game called Lethal League. It was a one-on-one projectile combat game and had each person smacking around a baseball until it reached warp speeds. It made the fighting game tournament rounds, eventually reaching its peak of hypeness at UFGT 9 last year. And a rad flash game deserves a rad full release, right? I mean, that's how these things should work. And the full release, they actually did. Reptile Games released Lethal League at the end of August, and it features an extremely healthy amount of gameplay tweaks, a bunch of new characters and special abilities, some sweet graphical updates, and all the energy and pizzazz that'll get your blood pumping. And the original was fairly simple: 2 baseball dudes, 1 ball, 1 goal, destroy the other guy. Jumping around, hitting the ball is pretty easy, but where the game truly lives up to its name is in the power attack. Jumping and hitting the ball downwards actually doubles the speed and sends it flying towards the other person in a flash. And if they connect with it and send it right back to you, then you got yourselves a real match. And here in the full release, they actually build upon all the mechanics in the original prototype. You can still hit the ball straight, angled up or down, but now they've added bunting to the mix. Bunting stops all the ball's momentum and tosses it up kind of lightly in the air and allows you to set up your next attack or throw your opponent's rhythm off. And this actually allows you to create combos with your hits, alternating between angled shots and bunts, and it's a pretty good way to actually keep your opponents on their toes and I guess to show off too. And angles still play a huge role in the game, as knowing where the heck the ball is going is pretty crucial to your survival. And different characters will offer different trajectories. Candyman's down shot, for example, is typically a high angle shot and bounces up and down off the ceiling pretty quickly. And on the other hand, Switch actually uses a special move to rifle the ball at a much lower angle. And one of the biggest changes in the game, in my opinion, is the addition of parrying. Typically, if your opponents time it right, they can hit the ball right as it leaves your bat, cane, skateboard, or whatever, which can be a pretty big bummer. But tap bunt after hitting the ball at high speeds and the ball will actually flash blue. If your opponent tries to hit that, it'll actually knock them back and leave them vulnerable for a couple seconds. Just enough time to rocket the ball back into their face. So I mean, do all these changes actually make the game better? Of course they do! So much depth was added from just a couple simple things, taking a simple Pong-style arena brawler and turning it into something that, in my opinion, can be respected as a legitimate fighting game. It's amazing just how much personality Reptile Games has managed to inject into the game. Everything about Lethal League just feels right. The thunder and lightning when you connect with a huge hit, the super solid controls, the variety of characters and awesome special moves. I mean, the game just knows how to entertain a crowd. And speaking of characters, there's a bunch of new ones. Each one of them is a unique little snowflake with their own strengths, weaknesses, blah blah blah, you get the idea. But who should you pick? Who's the best, the worst, the coolest? I mean, fuck, they're all awesome. Let's look at them.
Raptor!
Hey, I remember this guy. He's the original Lethal League character, and he's back with some new tricks. So he's definitely the most basic out of the bunch. He has good speed, jump height, swing range. And in this game, he can jump off of walls, which I'm pretty sure all baseball players can do, right? But the special moves are why we're all here. Each character was granted their own special move, which can only be used after filling up all 4 bars. Double tap the button after hitting the ball to unleash your special move, and havoc among everyone else in the arena. So there you go, hit the ball, get a bar, get 4 bars, use your special. It's not rocket science. And Raptor's move in particular has him spinning in place, allowing him to shoot the ball in whichever direction you choose, and can also double its speed. So if you see your opponent standing behind you trying to avoid your shot, you can activate your mini tornado and fling it right in his face instead.
Switch!
It's a robot with the skateboard, what else is there to say? Okay, if you want a little more detail, Switch is kinda close to Candyman in speed and Raptor in jump height, but he can also ride on the walls with his board. But while this sure sounds like a great way to travel, it's hard to say if it's a very good movement option, as you still have to jump off the wall if you want to take a swing. But what I think solidifies Switch as the most defensive character in the game is a special move, the Switch Flip. By double tapping jump instead of attack, he'll perform a little kickflip with his board, which will deflect any ball at any time, as long as you're in the air. It'll also launch the ball much more quickly and at a much lower angle than normal, almost horizontal. Definitely good for catching people in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Candyman!
Ah, Candyman, a token wacky character, and also my favorite in the game. His head is presumably made of candy, and he whacks the ball with his presumably uncandy cane. And like I said earlier, his swing shoots the ball at a downward angle, which is both a blessing and a curse. By having such a high angle of attack, opponents might be caught off guard standing in the wrong spot, and often get hit in the head right after the lag wears off. On the flip side though, as the ball bounces around the ceiling and floor, it moves towards the opponent much more slowly and telegraphed. "Look out, I am a ball, I'm coming towards you!" it screams. Candyman does, however, have quite a few perks. He jumps way higher than everyone else, almost floating back down to earth afterwards. His special move, called Candy Ball, turns the ball into a copy of his own head, which will pass through the next wall it hits and come out the opposite side of the arena. It's probably my favorite special move and almost always guarantees a KO if the ball is traveling fast enough. So if you're looking for a slightly unorthodox style or just want something goofy to spice up the mundane life you lead,
the Candyman can.
Sonata.
As the one and only female character in the game, Sonata is also the Nimbus. Her jump is really quick and she can double jump just as fast. Also, her giant boombox hammer is much larger than everyone else's weapons, so presumably there's a larger hitbox on it as well. I'll have to research more about that later, so don't quote me on that. I can see Sonata being used pretty widely, as people seem to really like fast characters, and she's about the fastest she'll get. Until the DLC comes out. Right? And her special is pretty dang good, as she can redirect the ball up or down until it hits the wall. It's useful for faking opponents out, but it seems like a bit slow for anyone to get truly mixed up by it. I mean, I would imagine it really shining in 4-player mode, as with 3 other people moving around trying to avoid the ball, someone's bound to jump into its path.
Latch.
The final character, Latch, is a curiously anthropomorphic crocodile with headphones. He's got a few, how should I put it, kinks in his playstyle that might take some time for people to get used to. As far as I can tell, he's the slowest of the characters, really can't jump too high, and with him being as wide as he is, probably has the biggest hurt box too. What he does have going for him though is his wall cling, in which he can grab hold of the side of the arena indefinitely, which is really good for avoiding unwanted projectiles. And his special might just be the most useful in the game. Latch will grab the ball and hold it in his mouth until the bar runs out, and you're free to move around, jump, do whatever you want in a short amount of time until he spits the ball back out. Positioning in this game is key, so with Latch's special you have a pretty decent advantage even for just a short period of time. So, I mean, what of all this? Are you still wondering who the best character is? Who you should play to take advantage of most players' unfamiliarity with the game? I mean, in all honesty, it really doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to make is that this is one fighting game where every single character is just as viable as the next. The differences between characters are merely showcases for the person's playstyle, and it's possible for anyone to win with any character. Character loyalty has always been a huge part of fighting games, and if you're able to choose whomever you want and still be able to compete, then that's a sign of a good, balanced game. Sure, yeah, there are only 5 characters in the game at the moment, but they have just the right amount of variation between them that you won't feel bad about losing to any of them. And that's what I really love about Lethal League. It's about you as a player reacting to the game. You make the wrong move, you lose. It's that simple. There are no cheap wins, no comeback mechanics, nothing to bitch or whine about other than the fact that you screwed up. There's no top tier, there's no low tier, and most importantly, as the game itself implies, no weak shit. I'm Joey, this has been your breakdown of Lethal League, and I'll see you guys next time.
Game!